Welcome back, friends. In this video, we'll look at some ideas that you can use in your fruit slasher activity to make it more interesting, to learn more from it, and also to earn bonus points. Now, fruit slasher is part of our advanced curriculum. Before I get into the specific bonus ideas, I will, as always, remind you about the bonus. That bonus comes after basic. You always earn bonus. What you can do for bonus is almost endless. What earns you bonus today may not earn bonus in future. Bonus is an opportunity to push yourself, try out new things, amaze everybody. However, remember rule number one, which is that bonus comes after basic. Now, this is important. I repeat this many times because this is really important, right? Always, also, as I mentioned, try to add instructions and description in the project page so that we know what bonus ideas you have tried. Moving to the specific bonus ideas, well, there are actually so many that I had a lot of difficulty condensing them down to just these few, right? I'm sure there are many more still that you can try, but let's just go through these one by one. I'll talk about these. I have an enhanced game which I'll show you as we go along. I have a bunch of other videos that I'll refer to. And finally, I will also, give you these things in context of the project that we have created, right? So I hope it becomes clear for everybody. Yeah. First thing first, I think you can do a lot of attractive elements in this, right? Visually attractive elements. So, for example, you can get attractive fruits or backdrops. You can get it from the internet, or for those of you who are very creative, you can actually draw these fruits. And I've seen these bitmap drawings, really beautiful, right? Similarly, you can get what is called a mouse trail, right? Now, if you look at the enhanced game, I'll just show you right away. This enhanced game that I've created. So here I've created this mouse trail. So when my mouse moves, when I click my mouse to move, I get, along with everything else, I get this, nice, let's say, this kind of trail created, right? And the code is actually very simple. Basically, I'm just creating a clone of this particular sprite whose costume is just a square. When I click the mouse down, and when I do start as a clone, I go to the mouse pointer and I just kind of randomly move around a little bit, and also have used the color effect and ghost effect to create that nice change in color and disappearance, right? So I think it's a nice addition to the game, makes it attractive. Like I said, this is in addition to the fruits or say backdrop that you create or get from the internet, right? Next, this thing called the draggable mode, right? Now, I put this as a bonus because it's actually quite relevant in this. So, question is, what is draggable mode, right? Now, in this game, we have a slashing action, right? So, basically, oops. So, whenever we play this game, we have to, sort of move mouse across, right? Now, sometimes you'll find that, if you're not careful, right? If you are not careful, you'll find that you drag the fruits or their parts, uh, you know, uh, along with you, right? So sometimes splatter might get dragged and so on and so forth, right? To prevent this, Scratch gives us a feature called draggable mode, right? So we can, I think I've done that here. You can set the mode to not draggable, right? So what this does is that the sprites will not get dragged. However, right, this works only in the full screen mode. So if it's a full screen, it will work really well. None of the sprites will get dragged, right? So on the other hand, if you do not have this, then sometimes the sprites will get dragged. It looks really a little bit odd, right? So that's why I put this as a bonus idea, because something to learn, right? Next, another idea that I could think of is that an opening animation, and a very popular one here is that game starts by slashing a fruit itself, right? Now, in the class game, our game just starts, right? But we could do this animation. The best way to do this would be to create a sprite which is almost like your main fruit sprite, but it doesn't clone. So we just create one random costume and give it the slashing motion, right? In fact, I'll show you a little bit later in the enhanced game. I've done this, right? Moving forward, you can definitely add more fruits, right? So, that's a bonus idea because, so for example, class game was built with say 5 fruits. You can go ahead and build maybe a game with 6 fruits, 8 fruits, and obviously when you do that, you have to make sure that you name the customs costumes correctly. You have to figure out where the bomb goes, and so on and so forth, right? So make sure to make those changes, but definitely this is a good idea, right? Next, I could think of some innovations with respect to, let's say, the game progression or say the scoring, right? So what could happen, right? For example, initially maybe there are no bombs, and then after some time bombs appear, and then there are more bombs, right? So the game gets harder and harder as it goes along. Or you could also decide to give different points for different fruits, right? Now this will be a little bit tricky, but not definitely doable, because all you have to do is to figure out when you slash a fruit which costume you are looking at, right? So, costume number is a very important variable, as you know, in this. using costume number, you can figure out which costume is being looked at, and then you can accordingly, give maybe 1 point for apple, 2 points for watermelon, 3 points for banana, whatever you want, right? So you could do that, right? Uh, Another idea that I've seen people do in the fruit slasher games on Scratch platform is that, say this is kind of some kind of special fruit or a bomb. So our bomb, for instance, immediately if you touch that, the game gets over, right? But there could be a special fruit which does not get the game to get over, but perhaps some visual artifacts. So maybe, it causes some kind of, let's say some kind of flashing. So you could use maybe the ghost effect or brightness effect, right? To create a sprite like we had done a layer of darkness, so you can do that, and suddenly the whole thing becomes foggy or something like that, right? Or perhaps a sprite which restores life, so you lose lives, as you know, as the fruits fall to the ground, you lose life. But maybe there's this magic sprite which just slash and it restores back all your lives, right? So these are ideas that you can do. Of course, requires a little bit of coding, but it makes it nice and interesting, right? Another thing I've seen, and this is quite interesting, I mean, obviously applies to a lot of other games as well, that instead of showing lives as a number like we are doing in the class, you can actually have sprites displaying this, right? So you can have some kind of a cross mark perhaps on the screen, and every time you lose a life, that cross becomes maybe you lose one life, right? Now, the one thing I do want to highlight here is that a lot of times I've seen this fruit slasher game on the Scratch platform where the game just gets over immediately as it starts because it just goes so fast, right? Um, what I would recommend is that give more lives, maybe 10 lives or 15 lives or even longer, so that you get some time to play this game, right? And that's where these other ideas also come in that, maybe initially there are no bombs, right? But slowly the bombs appear and so on and so forth. So it makes it, I think, the gameplay also more interesting. Otherwise, it just gets over too fast, right? Now, the next three are the ideas for which I'll give you separate videos. I'll refer to them here because those are a bit involved. Those are also interesting, right? First one here is that a flying split fruit clone and fruit platter, right? So, fruit splatter, right? So let me just show you from an enhanced game what I mean by this. Basically, whenever let's say in this game, whenever I slash a fruit, so for example, this banana, notice the banana goes in two pieces and those two pieces fly away to different directions, right? So same way for a watermelon or an apple, so I'll talk about the combo later. So I get these two pieces flying away in different sides, right? Now, just to compare this with the class game, right? What we had done is that we had basically we had, okay, so these lists are there. Never mind. If I just slash them, I just get the fruit sort of opening up. Nothing really flies away, right? It requires a little bit more effort, more costumes, more coding to get the effect that I've created. We basically create more clones. So this I think looks nice. I guess my other game got over, so that's why this happened. So this is one idea. Like I said, I'm putting a separate video for this. You can take a look at that. Next is figuring out mouse speed and direction to create more detailed conditions for slashing. Now this is a little bit hard, little bit abstract. So that's why I put another video. I'm putting the link here. The idea really is that we have this mouse X and mouse Y lists here. Now what we can do is that using these two lists we can figure out which way the mouse is moving, which means that how fast is the mouse moving, which direction is the mouse going in, and so on, right? So using that we can probably constrain. For example, we can say, okay, maybe some certain types of motions are not allowed. For example, if I just go vertically and then I cannot slash, or unless I'm moving at a certain speed, I cannot slash a fruit, and so on, right? So there's things you can do. Like I said, please refer to the other video because this is a little bit advanced, right? And finally, this combo mode detection and combo mode scoring. Now, this is something I really like. The idea is that, and as you was just seeing it in my enhanced game here, the idea was that, basically, if I get lots of fruits slashed together, I get this combo mode. I mean, basically, three fruits slashed together, I declare a combo, and you can even, so right now I'm just creating a clone here, which just rises up saying combo, but you can even give user, say, a special point for having done this, right? It feels good. Again, I'm putting a separate video for this purpose so that you can see how that is done. I use timer block for this purpose, and timer and lists for this purpose. I'll be happy to hear your feedback and will be glad if you try that out. Yeah. So the only thing that I think everything else we saw in context of the class game. Also, basically, we had in the class game, we had the normal sprites, but you could get sprites backdrops from the internet, make them attractive. I spoke about the mouse trail, creating a clone. Draggable mode we spoke about. Opening animation is something I want to show you. So, I just modify the code a little bit here. Here, what I've done is that I have created a new sprite in the enhanced game, which is basically similar to my, let's say the fruit sprite. But what I do is that when I first start the game, I create a clone of myself, and I wait for, I basically, so let me just start this game. So this game starts by, for example, this watermelon rotating. It could be watermelon, it could be actually any costume, right? But one of the fruits, not the bomb, right? Now, if I slash this fruit, the game starts, right? So the game starts. Okay, so I have to, missing something here, I guess, because I modified this a little bit. So I will go and, fruits opening. I'll say, yeah, I need to delete this clone, right? So if I did this, the game will start, right? So now the game starts, and this is nice because it's kind of, gets you ready to, sort of get you ready for the game, right? I think apart from that, uh, everything is, again, with respect to our class game here, if in class game we just directly got all kinds of fruits, but we could do something more. So the thing that we'll have to do here, I have not built that here, but basically in this loop, right, instead of directly waiting say 1 to 3 seconds, maybe we can put a condition for score or something like that, right? That in the beginning, probably for the first 10 points there are no bombs, right? Subsequently there are some bombs created, and so on and so forth. So you can modify this as well as when I start as a clone, right, to create this effect. Yeah. uh, then, yeah, like I said, we can have different costumes and so on, and these three have a separate video. So I hope this is useful enough for you. I hope this, gives you an idea of what can be done. Most importantly, be systematic, learn, enjoy the whole process, because this is a creative exercise, lots of colors, lots of ideas. If you're systematic, you enjoy the process, you will really learn. Okay. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.